Oh my God, what happened to my stream topic? Breaking news, everyone, breaking news. Fortunately, I had already scheduled a stream for today. This is the promised Euro time friendly coming to you at 7, about quarter after 7 here in merry old England. Yes, Henry Cavill's dunk. Thank you, Louise. I was going to be all over that. I was ready for that joke. I was even thinking about slapping Henry Cavill's face on a dunk picture for the screen cap, but I didn't have time. So, thank you for that. Yes, obviously Henry Cavill, the only oh no, as Egg, even better. What about Tansel too tall? Cavill's tall. I bet Cavill can do puppeting. Nah. So here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about obviously the news. There's a little bit of detail. It's light on detail, but I'll tell you what we know about the series. Dunk and Egg has been greenlit by HBO. George Martin is writing on it, and I've got thoughts about that. That's kind of the big news. I think this is how we're going to get Dunk and Egg finished. Not through books, but we'll get to that. So we're going to talk about the events from the first 3 Dunk and Egg books, which of course we're in the middle of reading with Grey Waste Tim on our channel, in case you didn't know. Very nice timing, HBO. I swear I didn't know about this. I just happened to decide to do Dunk and Egg a few weeks ago, and here's the news. But yeah, so we're going to go through the major events, just not like in order, but name some of the stuff that we'll be looking forward to seeing from the first 3 books. And then we'll take a look at the rest of Egg's life, such as we know of it, which is threadbare on the detail. But we know a few things about Dunk and Egg, what happens to them afterwards, after the 3 books. And of course, in case you didn't know, Dunk and Egg is planned to be a 7-book series. It's going to conclude with Summerhall. So we've got 3 out of 7. There's 4 books that Martin's planned to write. He's, one of them was going to be the She-Wolves of Winterfell. Dunk and Egg goes to Winterfell. Probably Dunk and Old Nan have a thing. It leads to Hodor's granddad or dad or something like that. But yeah, so we're going to go through the wiki and pull out some of the events, such as the famous duel when Dunk was a member of the Kingsguard with one of the Lords of Baratheon. That's Chase Stone artwork on the screen you see there. And so we'll speculate about what kinds of things that we might see in the later seasons of Dunk and Egg that get past the books that have been written. Because guess what, guys? I'm optimistic that George is going to finish Winds and even A Dream of Spring. But even I don't think that he's going to be able to finish 4 Dunk and Egg books in between writing those other ones and doing all this. We just started, if you're tuning in. I don't see any way George is going to be able to write Winds and Dream and Fire and Blood 2, Blood and Fire, which he's already got working on, and 4 more Dunk and Egg books. So the big news that I'm seeing here is, first of all, George Martin is a writer on the program. That is different than House of the Dragon. House of the Dragon, George is a consultant, executive producer. So Ryan and George have a good relationship. Ryan calls up George because he's a big fanboy, says, hey, how do I make sure I get this character right or this scene right? I've got this idea. What do you think? What do you think about Laenor faking his death, and having him run away instead, that kind of thing. This is different. George is writing on this show. Ryan Condal, by the way, is executive producing Dunk and Egg. So that just shows you what George thinks of Ryan's work so far. Big fan, obviously. And so George is going to be writing on the show. To me, and this is just my speculation, that means that probably this is how we're going to finish Dunk and Egg. If he does, like I said, there's just only so much time to write books. And it obviously Winds and Spring, he's got to finish those. Before he can rest in peace, he's got to get that magnum opus out. Okay? And so, yeah, the fact that he's writing on Dunk and Egg, to me, this means that George has, and I'll be waiting for him to clarify this, but it seems to me like he's chosen to finish Dunk and Egg on the TV show. That's probably why, because there's just not enough time. And if he's writing on the show, then it gives him an opportunity to do it just the way he wants. And we've always heard that George loves Dunk and Egg, very much, and that if he ever brought it to screen, he'd want it to be, perfectly exact. And you can do that because it's not a Song of Ice and Fire where there's infinity character POVs and we've got to trim some down. Dunk and Egg, of course, very tight narrative, very tight point of view. It is all from Doug's point of view. Okay, it is a very classic storytelling. So there's no reason why you shouldn't follow the script. And yes, we better get a new friggin' theme song. Thank you. God bless Ramin. But yeah, I don't need any more dun-dun-dun-dun-duns. Come on, man. Give us a new theme song. Bloodraven and share a sea star. Yeah, guys, the Dunk and Egg series, it's going to get pretty crazy. Like I said, we'll get into some of the stuff that happens to them after the 4 books that we've got. But yeah, I mean, the Blackfyre Rebellion thing where Bloodraven has the last Blackfyre pretender come on over to throw your name in the ring to be king and then just executes him. And then Egg sends Bloodraven to the wall as punishment. That whole thing is going to happen. Obviously, Dunk becoming a Kingsguard and he goes and fights in the Ninepenny Kings War, puts down that revolt. So there's all kinds of crazy stuff that we're going to see. Yeah, 3rd and 4th Blackfyre Rebellion, essentially. Yeah, this is real. This is really happening. And I got some news for you about streaming too. I've been doing some research on all these shows that have been getting canceled. There is some chicanery going on, folks. The TV networks are negotiating with the Writers Guild Association, and they are acting poor during negotiation time, and that is why a lot of these shows are getting canceled and all the companies are crying poor. They're not poor. And we'll see the streaming stuff balloon back up in budget as soon as this new deal gets signed. The WGA actually took a vote, or is going to take a vote in a couple weeks to authorize a strike. So they are really being hardballed by the companies, powers that be. So just to let you know, I was listening to Love It or Leave It, which is a great political social commentary podcast. John Lovett does that, and he talked a whole bunch about this. I'll try to drop a link in the description. His last podcast episode, he had a member of the WGA on. But the bottom line for HBO and all this stuff is that, like, we will see a ballooning back. We heard all these other A Song of Ice and Fire shows. It might not be developed. We're just narrowing it down. But then we just got the announcement, Aegon's Conquest is in development. Dunk and Egg is in development. They're not poor, guys. They're not poor. We're definitely getting a whole bunch of shows. So let me move over so I'm a little more centered. There we go. I always like to be centered. Yeah. So, wow. Like I said, what do you guys think of that? Do you think that George, I don't see how he's going to do this whole thing again where he's like, I'll just let the TV series start and I'll finish all the books before they get there. I can write 4 Dunk and Egg books before they do 4 seasons of television. No, of course he doesn't think he can do that. He just did that. He just did that with A Song of Ice and Fire. He let HBO start back in 2011 when he imagined he'd have Dance out in a couple years and he'd have Dream out in 5 years or so. That timeline got blown apart and the whole season finished and we still didn't get wins. So yeah, I think I said Dance when I meant wins. But yeah, I don't think George is going to do that again. So if they're starting the Dunk and Egg series now when he's only got 3 out of 7 books written, that tells me they're going to finish the story on the show, which is going to make this show really awesome. If you think about it, it was kind of exciting on Game of Thrones when occasionally there was stuff that we didn't know what was going to happen. Like once Bran was rooting around in the Weirwood Net and he saw Night King there, and we saw the creation of Night King. The attack at Hardhome is not something we've seen in the books. There's some stuff that was new on the show that was really exciting. Dany burning the Khals on the Dothraki Sea to take control of the Khalasar. Something like that will happen in the books. I don't know if it'll be exactly like that. But I loved that scene. Okay. And I definitely think that it will be 10 times more exciting to be watching Dunk and Egg and we'll all be surprised. Like, we won't know. Season 4 starts, Dunk and Egg head up to Winterfell. Just imagine. Who's playing young Nan? Who are they gonna cast as young Nan? You know, the hot love affair that we all assume took place. The Bran may have seen a glimpse of it. You know, a knight as tall as Hodor. There's a woman standing on her tiptoes to kiss a knight as tall as Hodor. It sounds like young Nan and Dunk. So, dude. It's we should do a 420 Garth stream. That's a great idea, Shannon. I should see how many bong hits I can take on the air. We'll keep a counter. That's a great idea. Let's book it. Consider that done. Consider it done. I don't have money to go buy glass this month on 420, so I'll just smoke with y'all. That'll be cool. So yeah, we're gonna get Bloodraven. I mean, Bloodraven comes into the 3rd book as Maynard Plum, which is can't wait to get to. Condal saw my rereads and begged HBO for the green light. That's exactly right. Comment of the day, right there. That is exactly what happened. Condal was watching me and Grey Waste Tim yuck it up about the Hedge Knight, and he was just like, "Dude, we got to get our hands on this material. It is so good." And again, if you haven't checked it out, Grey Waste Tim and I, check out Tim's channel at Grey Waste Tim. He's been a guest on my channel, and we've done 3 streams the last 3 weeks reading through the Hedge Knight and providing extensive commentary, both on the story and the symbolism as well. So, yeah, like I said, chat, definitely feel free to throw out names as far as actors and stuff. I don't know actors very well. I'm really bad with names. So I'm not going to be the one to guess who's going to play who, other than Henry Cavill as Old Nan. That's obvious. So Condal is getting to do this. Condal is the executive producer. Let me get here. My manager texted me the information, the details. Oh, God. The same number has texted me that they've stopped. There's a fraudulent transaction on my Patelco account, but also on my Wells Fargo account, which I don't have a Wells Fargo account. This seems like a scam. Anyways, gotta look alive out there. It's a wild world. So Martin will be writing on the show. He's billed as an executive producer and a writer, alongside House of the Dragon producer Ira Parker. Ryan Condal is the showrunner. He's the executive producer, along with Martin's longtime business manager, Vince Gerardis. So these are Martin's people all over this show. Martin's writing it. His business manager is producing it. Ryan Condal is basically like his mini-me. So this is a lot more creative control than George has on House of the Dragon. And I would encourage you not to think about this control as in like an arm wrestling match. HBO has paid George millions of dollars to make shows. Okay, so George Martin, although he said like, "Hey, I don't have creative control," meaning like Ryan's running House of the Dragon, I'm not in there making the little decisions. He does have a lot of influence. So, but this is different. This is more than just influence. This is George saying, "I want to write the scripts." He's going to be writing the scripts on this show. Okay, so this is going to be... Remember, George has made Henry Cavill as Thunder. Oh, that's good. Eminem as Bittersteel. Chat, you're doing good work here. We can use CGI and make Henry Cavill young like Dunk. Zach Galifianakis as Tansy Too Tall. I can see that. You guys are killing it. Yeah, George is writing scripts on this, man. That's the big news here. That's the big news, really. Not just that Dunk and Egg is getting made. George is making this. This is his baby. It doesn't surprise me, but it's awesome. Eminem is taken. Yeah, Eminem is in Rings of Power. That's true. He's the head bad dude of uncertain classification. But there's somebody on Instagram, by the way, that does Eminem parenting videos. It's really good. Every skit turns into some like Eminem rap, and his family's just like, "Whoa, dude, what are you, dude, settle down." I want to have Glimbus on a stream. I need to get Glidus. He's just been so busy. He's expressed interest in streaming with me, but he got really behind on his Bliss takes, so he's been catching up. I'll try to hit him up again, see if he's down. Yeah, love me some Glidus. Love me some Glidus. He put out some funny shit last week, man. He sure did. I could play a Weirwood tree. Absolutely. I could. I'm very tall and tree-like. I'm about 6 feet. Got nice tree-like limbs. No, okay, so seriously. Hedge Knight, we've just gone through. Hedge Knight is awesome. It's a tourney. It's a trial by 7, and it's like an all-star cast of Westeros. You know, the Laughing Storm, Baelor, Breakspear, Aerion, Bright Flame. They're all there, just leaping off the page. Some incredible stuff. The Fossaways, the younger Fossaway in particular. And then, of course, Baelor's tragic death. Poor Daemon the Drunkard and his prophecies. Steely Pate. Okay, there is just a lot of great characters in that first story. And it's going to be very medieval. I mean, it's a tourney. You know, I think one of the nice things about House of the Dragon is that we got a little more Ren Fair vibes when they did the hunt. You know, we had all the tents and the pavilions and the horns and some of the revelry. We had the wedding feast. A little more of that than on Game of Thrones. I appreciated that Ren Fair. I love a good Ren Fair. And Hedge Knight is very Ren Fair. It is a Ren Fair. It's the real thing. That's what a Ren Fair is trying to be. Essentially, is a tournament. So, yeah, this is going to be sick. I mean, Hedge Knight is just going to be sick. We just read through it. We've had so much fun dealing with all this stuff. Aerion Brightflame, his dastardly arrogance, and his brutal bullying, breaking Tanzel's finger, you know, and then Dunk just laying into him, beating the crap out of him right in public. Aerion's rage, and then sitting in with Baelor and Maekar. I mean, we've never seen anything like that. Think about the Targaryens that we've seen on screen. We've seen Dany, who's obviously very far away from the Targaryen dynasty, the seat of power, and all that. She's a refugee. She's Spartacus or whatever. Jon Snow, similar thing. Doesn't even know he's a Targaryen. Okay, we've seen Bloodraven in the cave. That's not typical Targaryen. And then now with House of the Dragon, we've seen a little more of the Targaryen dynasty with Viserys and Daemon. But Maekar, Baelor, these characters are different. Like, this is the high point of Targaryen dynasty. There's princes everywhere. You see Lord Ashford's like, I'm invaded or infected with princes. They're just everywhere. Yeah, it's not going to be animated that we know of. It's live action. It's a TV show. They would say if it was animated. So, would this make more sense as a trilogy of films? No, I don't think so. You know, reading through the Hedge Knight, it's longer than you remember. There's more ups and downs than you remember. It's not just Dunk gets there, you know, and then they have the fight. Like, there's a lot that goes on in between there. And even like when he gets thrown in jail and then he goes before Baelor and Maekar, then he has to go and recruit the champions before the fight. There's several scenes under the elm tree. There's several scenes with Dunk. There's scenes with Daemon. There's scenes with Steely Pate and Tanzel Too Tall, a couple different ones. So no, I definitely think there's a whole season here. Definitely 10 episodes. And Sworn Sword and Mystery Knight are twice as long. Actually, almost 3 times as long as Hedge Knight. It's going to take a few streams to get through those. But now that they've announced the show, we'll definitely do that. Maybe we'll get some more views on that. That'll be sweet. And guys, the YouTube algorithm has kind of turned its gaze elsewhere. You guys watched it happen last year. I was one of the first ones to get on House of the Dragon. The views blew up. The channel blew up. We went from 40K subs to like 80 some in a couple months. That has slowed down. And YouTube is I don't know. That it y'all know how it is. It's beyond our control as streamers. Like, I knew at the time when my channel was blowing up that it was nothing you could bank on forever. There's other people doing great work, like Tony Teflon, for example, whose channel didn't catch as much of that wind. And that's very fluky. Okay. So there is not as much wind in my sails right now for whatever reason. I feel like my content is, always getting better. I'm always trying to improve. You guys let me know what you think, except for that one guy in the comments, you're banned. But yeah, so point is, I would appreciate it if you guys, share the Hedge Knight streams or whatever it is that you like on my channel. Anything like that is always appreciated. You guys are awesome with leaving comments. You leave more comments on my videos than most videos. The engagement on my videos is super high. You guys are friggin' awesome, so thank you for all that. I'm starting the TikTok soon also to bring new people in, but neither here nor there. So Hedge Knight, then we got Mystery Knight. The Mystery Knight is the one, of course, where he goes to serve the old man in the tower. What's his friggin' name? The Checky Lion, Eustace Osgray. Dunk takes service with Eustace Osgray as a sworn sword. And Eustace Osgray is embroiled in a feud with his neighbor, right? The Red Widow, Rohanne Webber, who has a sinister reputation, but we find out a lot of that is a lot of puffery and hearsay, right? So it doesn't have all the pageantry of the first one. It doesn't have all these Targaryen princes riding in. But what it does have is the hot spice. The Dunk and Rohanne is probably the hottest romance in A Song of Ice and Fire, with respect to Asha and Carl, who have a really great scene, but not a whole lot other than that. The running tension between Dunk and Rohanne Webber is awesome. We did a Rohanne Webber character stream that you can find in our character breakdown playlist. We had a lot of fun with that. I tried to stay away from the symbolism because there's so much weird net stuff with all the canals and all that. But we had a lot of fun with the Rohanne and Dunk stuff, and I'm sure I'll see if we can make Tim blush a little bit when we read Sworn Sword. But yeah, that's going to be a good one. I wonder how much, to me, some of the highlights in the Sworn Sword is the symbolism stuff. Dunk has a crazy dream of being in the burning forest with Rohanne Webber. That's really nuts, and it's really great symbolism. And then, of course, the forest burns when he wakes up. So I don't know if they'll go into any of that. But yeah, just like think about one of the things that stands out from the Sworn Sword is because all this stuff is built up with the Red Widow. And then Dunk finally has to go meet her, right? He's got to ride over to the other castle to try to settle the beef. Because, of course, Brown Bennis has struck one of the dam workers of Lady Webber. And this creates a feud. Or worsens the feud, perhaps. So Dunk's riding up to this castle. He's nervous. He's trying to think about the courtly compliments that he's going to give to Rohanne Webber. Your dress matches the color of your eyes or something. He completely gets it backwards and bites his tongue. It's very funny. He doesn't know who is who. He guesses wrong about who Lady Webber is. The whole experience of Dunk's first ride into the castle is really funny. Then when he goes back, it's much more tense. And that is also fun. So that's going to be a great, if they cast Rohanne Webber well, that season is just going to be Dunk and Rohanne. I mean, the rest, she will not have my checky water. That's going to be a meme. Eustace Osgray will be meme city. Don't you think? He's just the best recalcitrant old lord living in his dreams and memories. Of course, there's a lot of good Greenseer symbolism there. But yeah, he's a great character. He's just, Barristan. Remember Barristan they offer Barristan, when they kick him out of the Kingsguard, Cersei and the rest of the people, they offer Barristan a keep somewhere. And he's like, oh, a castle to die in. No, thank you. That's what Eustace Osgrey has. All of his lands has been taken except for this tower. And he's just got this little keep to die in. He's got all his old things and memories there, and that's it. It's very sad once we realize what's there. It takes a minute to see that, though, because at first he's all bluster, and he's putting Dunk onto this feud. And then Dunk goes and unpacks the feud, and he's like, wait a minute, this isn't what I was told. And then Dunk is trying to navigate all that and find his way to maintaining his honor. So it's a very good character stuff, and it's even more in-close story than the first or the third one, I would say. I hope we're going to get to see Jenny and Summerhall. We should. We definitely should. And I'm just going to pack up this Praise Garth here. This Garthness while we talk. So that's the second book. So the third book, we go back to another tournament. A traitor's tourney, as Maynard Plum describes it. And this tourney is written intentionally to contrast with the first one. So the first one is high season of the Targaryen dynasty, right? And feel free to ask questions, by the way. You can use the Super Chat or the PayPal to make sure that I see your question and give it priority, because I like money, and that's how it works here. This is work for me. This is my job. I'm at work right now, which is pretty cool. Thanks, guys. This is the fun part of my job. I also do hours of, video editing and stuff, which is fun at times. Tedious at times, too. But where were we? Yeah. Third book. The third book, The Mystery Knight, is another tournament. And it's written very differently than the first one. The first one is all fun and games until Dunk gets into the fight with Aerion. But that's still like a question of honor and stuff. It's not war. The third book, the tournament, is actually the third, or I guess it would be, is it the second or third Blackfyre Rebellion? I think that's the third, technically, with John the Fiddler, who does not have the sword, does not have any dragons, but okay, so the chat is disagreeing. Who's right? Is it Cinthoras or Narella? Tell me. Is it the second or third Blackfyre Rebellion? I think it's the third one, because it's really pathetic. And I thought the second one was a little better, and they sort of get crappier as they go until we get to the Nine Penny Kings, which is like the last hurrah. So it is the second. The third is the big one we don't know the details of. Okay. Bad memory. It's the second. It's one of them. There's a bunch. There's a bunch of Blackfyre Rebellions. Who cares, really? Second, third, whatever. Point is, it's a pathetic Blackfyre Rebellion. It's fun because, so Dunk, obviously, court politics, little over his head. So he shows up to the tourney thinking he's going to compete and win some more money and stuff. He's just doing his Hedge Knight thing. But what he's doing is he's brought the Prince of the Blood, Egg, right into this trader's tourney, which is kind of foolish or dangerous, I guess you could say. It's not something he would do if he understood what was going on. But the great part is that the conspirators at a certain point think that Dunk and Egg are there to like spy on them and ruin their rebellion, which they kind of do accidentally. And by far the highlight of the book is Maynard Plum. It's Bloodraven in disguise as Maynard Plum, the king of snark, it's like Bloodraven's burner account. That's what it is. Maynard Plum is Bloodraven's burner account. That's where he can say what he really thinks. It's like Kevin Durant on Twitter defending Kevin Durant under a different name. It's exactly that. It's Bloodraven sitting around defending the actions of the crown, going, I don't know, it kind of made sense what they did. I don't know, just my opinion. Bloodraven seems like kind of a smart guy to me. It's so funny. And the lines are great. It's just dripping sarcasm. It's a little bit of that, Tyrion sarcastic writing voice that George has, which is some of the best writing that he does. So, yeah. Great stuff. Guys, 30 seconds. Enjoy the Reading Rhaegar music. I'll be right back. And if you're new to the channel, you just wandered in looking for the hot breaking news and you're wondering what the hell you just saw, I sometimes moonlight as Reading Rhaegar. I mean, reading Rhaegar Targaryen is in hiding on my couch. And he's going by the alias Reading Rhaegar so as not to be disguised. So not to be recognized, rather, by King Robert Baratheon, who also is lurking about these parts, yes, and feeling horny at times. So I'm constantly running a game where I've got to keep Robert and Rhaegar apart. Old Nan helps me, and so that's just a thing. When I start doing ads, which I will start doing, by the way, at some point you will see me going, and that's why Skillshare, ha! I'll try to do some more creative ones that are stuff I actually use. But it'll likely be Reading Rhaegar doing the pitch. He's a good pitch man, that Rhaegar. He can sell some people on some prophecy. If you could sell prophecy, you could sell anything. So the third book, Mystery Knight, got Maynard Plum. We've got Fireball's son, who's a great character. One of the people who's actually got some honor. We've got, it is busy in this apartment with the birds. And yeah, Nimble Dick's around here too. It is crowded, yeah. Oh, so. No, you got to get Liam. You got to do the established titles. Yeah, I'll be looking into my ad partners a little more thoroughly than some of the people who did the established titles thing. That's for sure. But yeah, no. Unfortunately, it is something you got to do to really, expand the revenue. And what it means is if I do ads, that just means that I can hire more people and put out more content. That's what that means. So it's good for the channel. You have to sit through 2 minutes, but you know me, I'll make it funny. I'm not just going to sit here and talk about Skillshare like a bozo. So, I'll be doing funny stuff. So that's how it'll be. Yeah, Nanny Vagar might do some ad reads, who knows, but yeah, we'll make it fun. And I'll probably seek out environmentally friendly companies and progressive companies and stuff like that. I've got my eyes on a few, so we're working on it. Anyways, Dunk and Egg, it's coming. Just to rephrase, in case you didn't catch it, it is on order from HBO. It is not an animated series. George R. Martin is writing on it. Condell is executive producing, and what that means is that George is writing these. So yes. Herp DeHer is asking, did he already talk about the fact that the Dunk and Egg books aren't finished? Yes, but let's talk about it again, because this is really the big news. There's supposed to be 7. I've not been doing well with this whole holding fingers up and saying numbers at the same time thing. I was like 6 the other day. 7. Like the Faith of the 7. 7 Dunk and Egg books are planned. Only 3 are written. So the fact that George is letting HBO go ahead with this series when he's only got 3 books written, he's not thinking that he's going to write 4 books in the next 3 years and somehow stay ahead of that. He knows he can't do that. So to me, this is George making a decision that I actually suggested that he should make a while ago, which is finish the Dunk and Egg story on TV. He doesn't have time to write the books. And he's got to write Winds. He's got to write Dream of Spring. He's got to write Fire and Blood too. That's already under, it's already under contract and is being worked on. So how's he going to write Dunk and Egg books? I don't know. He's not. He's going to finish it on TV. That's what I think. And I'll be waiting for George to confirm that. That's just my speculation. But what we know is that he is the writer, either the writer or one of the writers on the Dunk and Egg series. So that to me tells me that he's going to use that series to finish the story. And you might as well. He's got 3 seasons or so to get through the first 3 books and get the show, the voice and the actors all working. And once that's going, then he could just tell the rest of the story on TV. You might as well. So then the last book is absolutely going to be Summerhall. That's where Dunk and Egg is leading up to, is Summerhall. So now that we've talked about the first 3 books and what's in there, I'll go ahead and pull up the Aegon the Fourth wiki. And we'll take a look at some of the things that he did. Oh, Aegon the Fourth is Aegon the Unworthy. We want Aegon the Fifth. So many Aegons. They make you swear and swear. So many. Let's make this one smaller. Okay. And that didn't work. There we go. Okay. So let's see here. Aegon became king after a great council bypassed a number of candidates earlier in the line of succession, after his elder brother Maester Aemon refused the throne. As the foreson of Maekar I, Aegon was called Aegon the Unlikely. That's right. So we're going to have a great council. If you remember, we got a 2-minute great council. At the beginning of House of the Dragon, we got a glimpse of the old King Jaehaerys at Harrenhal. I appreciated that they did that, even if it was short. That was a very nice setting, and it conveyed the whole pressure that Viserys was taking on with the crown, the solemnity of the ceremony and all that. But this, we'll get a more lively great council here. We kind of missed that. In Fire and Blood, the Great Council of 101 is a lively thing. And there are bribes, and there are rumors, and there's count the vote chicanery going on. Okay? We didn't really get any of that. So, yeah, this one is going to be interesting. There were different candidates that were put forward. And we'll get young Maester Aemon. I guess that's going to be a highlight, right? Remember when Aemon's dying and he's like, Egg, I dreamt I was old. Like, Aemon and Egg are really tight. So we're going to get to see young Aemon. And we're going to get to see him and Egg talk about the throne. We'll get to see Aemon's rationale with letting go of the throne. Obviously, we'll get to see Bloodraven's involvement and all that. So, holy crap. Like, are you ready for young Bloodraven, young Maester Aemon, and young Egg? Like, when I say young, they'll be like early 20s or teens, debating about what to do with the Targaryen throne, what to do about the Blackfyre Rebellions. Holy crap, dude. Ooh. Yeah, it was Aemon who measured Dunk. That's right. So we could get Aemon very early in the series, but probably they won't bring him in since he's not really in those first 3 books. It probably wouldn't come in until like the 4th season or so. But continuing on with the main lives. Okay, so let's see. He's squiring, turning at Ashford Meadow, second Black. Yeah, so it is the second Blackfyre Rebellion at White Walls. So that is in, let's see, when is that? Second Blackfyre Rebellion is in 212. And the first Dunk and Egg book is in 209. So Egg is born in like 200. He's 9 in 209. So in 220, when Egg is 20, he marries Black Betha Blackwood. That's the next thing that happens. The marriage provokes, what does it say here? Under this ad. No opposition, as Aegon was very low in this line of succession. They married for love and had 5 children together. Aemon names his firstborn son Duncan to honor Dunk. So, yes, well, of course we will see Dunk go to Winterfell. That's not in the wiki. That was going to be the 4th book, I think. So yeah, we will. Obviously, they're gonna do the young Nan and all that stuff. That's really important. We gotta sow those seeds. And what's going on at Winterfell at that time is really interesting. There's kind of a succession crisis at Winterfell when Dunk goes there. So there's a lot going on. That's why it's going to be called the She-Wolves, because it's a bunch of women, sort of like running things, because the heirs are, dead or too young or something. I forget what, but there'll be Winterfell drama that Dunk walks into, because you know how Dunk is. I'm just Dunk the Lunk walking into trouble with my blinders on. Shucks. So he'll walk into trouble at Winterfell. We'll see young Nan, old Nan as young Nan. Then we're going to see, like I said, at some point Aegon falls in love with Betha Blackwood, so they've got to meet somewhere. Maybe they go to Raventree Hall, or maybe they meet somewhere else. Or maybe they're back at court by that time. Probably back at court by that time, yeah. I guess at a certain point they stop, like, hucking around as squire and stuff when Egg gets a little older. So, and Egg is sort of, at the end of the Mystery Night, Egg is sort of like, Bloodraven talks about Egg coming into his own as a dragon or whatever. So I'm not sure how much longer in the Dunk and Egg series they're going to keep going with Egg in disguise as Dunk's squire. It seems like they would go to Winterfell that way, but at some point it's going to transition to more of a court life where, Dunk is a prince, or Egg is a prince, and Dunk becomes his Kingsguard. So let's see when that happens. So 220 they get married. 221 King Aerys dies with no issue because the spring sickness had taken all his kids. So his brother Maekar takes the throne. Yes. And Aegon and his brothers are summoned to court by Maekar. So that's Egg's dad, obviously. In 233, there's a peak uprising. Those house peaks, always causing trouble. So that's a whole 10 years later, and Egg may have participated in the putting down of that. He would be 30 by that time. So this is Egg as a prince now, sort of proving himself in battle. Egg knighted the mortally wounded Tywald Lannister during the battle. King Maekar was also killed at Starpike during the rebellion. And after that, it was unclear who should be the king, since Egg's older brothers, had died. Daeron left a feeble-witted daughter named Vaela, and Aerion had an infant son. So that's when they call the Great Council, and Egg is chosen. But a lot of the lords say that Egg is half a peasant because of his time with Dunk, which has gotten out by then. And the council approaches Aegon's older brother, Maester Aemon, but he refuses. So that's all in 233. So that sounds like a season, for sure. We'll have a rebellion that gets put down out west, the death of Maekar, and then the Great Council, and Egg taking the throne. So that's probably season 5. If season 4 is going to Winterfell, then this could be like season 5 potentially. So then as king, 233, he's crowned at the age of 33. Praise Jesus. And Duncan the Tall is made Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. Not sure exactly when, but he serves as Lord Commander for most of Dunk's reign, if not all. So that may have happened right when he took the throne, or shortly after. Aegon's first act as king was the arrest of Bloodraven, the hand of the previous king, for the murder of Aenys Blackfyre. Because remember, at that council where Dunk is made king, Bloodraven, like I said, invites the living Blackfyre candidate, Aenys Blackfyre. Oh, come on down, throw your hat in the ring, and then just executes him when he gets there, which is pretty funny. So Egg punishes Bloodraven by sending him to the wall. And most people think that this is not a punishment, but rather just coordinated strategizing. Bloodraven probably needed to go to the wall. Like he's pretty deep in his Green Seer power at this point. Probably getting those dreams from the last three-eyed crow and shit. So I tend to think that was not necessarily a disagreement between Bloodraven and Egg, but rather teamwork. But we'll get the answer. So that'll be fun to see. Henry Cavill as Steely Pate. That's what I want. Steely Pate's got a physique, you know. It's got to be represented. So Bloodraven is sent to the wall. Though all were glad another Blackfyre pretender was dead, Aegon had to punish Lord Bloodraven to prove the word of the Iron Throne was not worthless. So it's kind of like Bloodraven taking one for the team. Although he was sentenced to death, Aegon allowed him to join the Night's Watch. So yeah, it's the kind of thing where it's like Ja Morant going to rehab. It's like, well, always going to rehab, he's taking it real seriously. Well, he might have only stayed for 36 hours. Actually, it might have been 12 hours. And we can't actually confirm that he went there as my phone starts playing my stream on its own. Okay, that was weird and stuff. Just like that. Yeah, so it's like, oh yeah, no, he's sentenced to death. Well, maybe not death. Did I say death? Let's let him go to the wall. And he'll be the Lord Commander. And we'll send him 100 of his friends to sort of make sure he's good. So, you know, reading between the lines. It's not really a punishment. Just like when Ja Morant meets with the NBA and there's also the Nike executives there in the meeting to decide how they want to roll out the punishment. It's like, it's not a punishment. For you NBA fans, there's my Ja Morant commentary. Bless his heart. Oh, man. I hope we get Memphis in the second round. Bring them on. Bring them on. And no, Sacramento doesn't have a chance of beating the Warriors. Come on now. Come on now. All right. So, moving right along. Yeah, so like 100 of the Raven's teeth were sent to the wall with Bloodraven. So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a punishment. Need to petition to get you hired to be the voice actor for all the audiobooks. I'll do every character. I'll tell you what, me and Tim, between the two of us, are doing pretty good. Tim's got some good voices. His Arion was kicking. And his Dunk is great too. Yeah, we're having fun with them. All right, so let's see here. Yeah. Yeah, I make no promises about Giannis. Giannis is, that's a different story. So Aegon's reign began during a harsh winter, which lasted from 230 to 236. A 6-year winter. So this is one of the long ones. The benevolent Aegon sent massive shipments of food and grain to aid starving Northmen, though were those who felt he provided too much aid. The end of winter saw the return of the Blackfyre pretenders, with the fourth Blackfyre Rebellion taking place in 236. Daemon, the third Blackfyre, attempted to seize the Iron Throne with the Golden Company. So this is a more serious rebellion, but few rallied to his side. Aegon and his sons rode to meet and repel the invaders, and Duncan the Tall slew Daemon Blackfyre III in single combat, ending the rebellion. Bittersteel managed to flee with the remnants of the Golden Company. So, okay, that's something we're going to need to see. And this is what I was talking about. Yeah, we might get somebody to do, and when I say somebody, I mean somebody of a female persuasion, to do Rohanne's voice. No promises. We'll see what we can do. I'll do it if I have to, but hopefully we can get a lady to do that. Oh, is the chat stuck? Shoot. Why does it fucking do this, man? Kills me. Thanks for keeping an eye out, guys. Yeah, if anybody sees the chat not moving, just let me know. Did I miss a super chat? Oh, what was that one? Oh, no, I read that. Okay. So, just check my inbox. Oh, I did get some PayPals. Thanks. From June. Thank you, June. Appreciate that. And Chase, thank you for the continuous content. Oh, yeah. I'll never stop making content. I just got too much to say, man. I just always got something to say. I'll just be here talking to the birds if I don't stream, so. There we go. All right, thanks, guys. So the chat should be good now. Very good. And thanks for those PayPals. If you want to send a PayPal and support the program, the link is below in the description, and we do thank you. So that's going to be crazy. The third Blackfyre Rebellion. That's what the chat was talking about earlier. So, oh, Jenny, what was your question? Just repeat it, and I will answer it. My apologies. It's a pretty big rebellion. Dunk slaying Daemon Blackfyre one-on-one. That's friggin' awesome. Oh, there's a mini. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. You guys are like producing this shit today. Appreciate that. All right. I didn't think that's not supposed to show up for you guys. It's just supposed to be my monitor window, which I don't really need, to be honest. Okay. So that's crazy. Third Blackfyre Rebellion. Dunk, again, single combat. So now Dunk is leveled up, right? He's no longer like, oh, what do I do, in this joust? Oh, I'm forgetting all my training. Oh, God, I'm getting, brained in the head. Now Dunk is like boldly striding forward as the Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, taking on Daemon the Third Blackfyre, who probably had Blackfyre, and defeating him in single combat. That's awesome. That's some manly stuff there. So we definitely got to see that. Yeah, we might need more than 7 seasons. Like I said, Hedge Knight seems like a whole season to me. And the second 2 books are about 2.5 times the length of Hedge Knight. So it could be that those second and third book would need 2 seasons each. But maybe not. I'm not sure. I don't have a good idea of like how a book material translates into how many seasons of television. But when will I become Dany's Archmaester? Well, I am on the way, as you guys know, in my identity as Archmaester Marwyn. I am on the way to Slaver's Bay. I have a glass candle. I am en route. And I will be telling Dany just as much as I can about the Long Night and all that crap very soon. The Marwyn-Dany conversation, oh man, it's one of the things I'm looking forward to. You guys know that. Let me see if June repeated her question. Or Jenny, sorry. It was Jenny of Oldstones. One of my squishers. Let me see if I can find it if I go up. Oh, it's right there. If George goes the TV show route, I wonder if they'll do a post-series novelization like they do with Star Wars. Maybe. I could see that, but I don't know if George would have time for it. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe if he's writing scripts, nah, it's too much work to adapt a novel. So, I would guess not. I would guess not. Dunk has got to be a tough person to cast. No, I mean, they're going to find somebody you've never met for Dunk. It's going to be some young actor who looks the part, and he'll be great. They'll find the right person. It's too important. HBO's always done a good job with casting. Casting on House of the Dragon was crazy good. With, casting actors that are supposed to be the same person at a different age. They nailed that stuff. So, would a FaceTime with a Valerian glass can, what would it look like between Jon and Dany? Well, that's how they're going to fall in love, obviously. Glass candle FaceTime. Send nudes, We'll have the first medieval sex chat via glass candle. That would be sick. I would love that, Kelly Johnson. Nah, but for real, I do think Dany will be using the glass candle to go to a shy. She might be able to use the glass candle to contact Jon. Jon wouldn't have a candle. But he could start seeing Dany in his dreams. That would be awesome. Dany has a wolf that appears in her dreams from time to time, and she's also seen the blue rose growing in a chink in the wall of ice. So I should look for Jon to be seeing signs of Dany in his dreams at some point too. Someone else could adapt his scripts into graphic novels. Yeah, they could, but I don't know if he'd let that happen, Jenny. George is very controlling over his stuff. Maybe he'd let Ryan do it or something, you know. Allison would send feed pics with a glass candle. You know, I don't know that Allison enjoys the whole foot thing. I think that the whole thing is that she doesn't enjoy it. And Laurie's is getting the power trip over making her do it. But, yeah, so Dunk also beats Lyonel Baratheon in single combat as well. So let's go back to the wiki. So, let's see here. Okay, so 236, Third Blackfyre Rebellion. It says Aegon V spent much of his reign dealing with uprisings. On 3 occasions, the Iron Throne had to intervene in the Westerlands due to the inferior and inept leadership of Lord Tytos Lannister of Casterly Rock. So this is going to be an ongoing problem. The Lannisters and the Westerlands. You know, 3 rebellions, that's a lot. Most of Aegon's troubles resulted from his efforts to improve the lives of the small folk, whom he had interacted with while squiring for Dunk. Although the small folk loved Aegon for his reforms and granting of rights and protections, the High Lords felt their powers over peasantry were diminished, which they were. So, lacking the dragons, of course, of early Targaryen kings, then Aegon was forced to compromise on several issues. So this is kind of the running project of Egg as king. He is the small folk king. He has this better perspective, and he tries to be a good king. He tries to do a lot of reforms, and some of them he does. But of course, nobody gives up power willingly. So this is what led Egg to want to hatch dragons. And this is what he was trying to do at Summerhall, hatch dragons' eggs. So we could put these damn lords in line, put them in their place. If we just had some dragons, we could tell them what's up. So it's kind of interesting, because Egg is trying to do good stuff that we like, democratic reforms. But he ends up wanting to do it tyrannically. It's like, I can't get people to accept it. So if I just had dragons, I could force them to accept it. So it's definitely George exploring that whole like good intentions and where they can go, how you use power and stuff like that. But so then there's an issue of betrothals. He tried to betroth his kids in political marriages, but some of them did not go along with it. Egg became, he eventually turned against incest. Egg did. He was against it. And it could be, you do think of Aerion like holding a knife up to his privates as a kid and threatening to make him a princess so that Aerion could marry him. Maybe some of that family abuse figured into that. But for whatever reason, Aegon became convinced that incest was bad. And so he and his queen, Betha Blackwood, by the way, that's awesome, a Blackwood queen. Give us all the witchy energy of a Blackwood queen. She better be witchy as hell. She's from Raventree Hall, man. Anyway, so him and his queen, Black Betha, betrothed their 4 children to various great houses of the kingdoms. Their eldest son was Duncan, Prince of Dragonflies. He was betrothed to the daughter of Lyonel Baratheon of Storm's End, who Dunk ended up fighting in this duel later. Because Prince Duncan did not marry who he was supposed to. None of these kids did. So, let's see. Next was Prince Jaehaerys' second son, betrothed to Lady Celia Tully, the daughter of the Lord of Riverrun. Youngest son was Prince Daemon. He was betrothed to Lady Olenna Redwine of the Arbor. So this is, remember, the Queen of Thorns talks about, oh, she was betrothed to some Targaryen once. They tried to marry me to some Targaryen. That's Egg's third son, Prince Daemon. They were betrothed when they were 9. Let's see, what happened to Daemon? He broke his betrothal to Olenna when he was 18. He was killed in battle against, leading an army against an uprising, the Rat, the Hawk, and the Pig. Whatever that was. Let's see. George always has little names. So Daemon was betrothed to Olenna. Aegon's eldest daughter, Princess Shera, was betrothed to Luther Tyrell, the heir to Highgarden. So then, here's what happens. In 239, Dunk falls in love with and weds Jenny of Oldstones. Not Dunk, sorry, Prince Duncan. So that's the oldest son, Duncan, Prince of Dragonflies, marries Jenny of Oldstones, who's just some girl from the woods. Okay, which is a good way to go. King Aegon, they forced Dunk to choose between the peasant girl, the Iron Throne. So they say, fine, you can keep your wife, but you must then give up your claim to the throne. And this is what I said about Rhaenyra. You know, it's a little different on the show. Oh, Daemon was the gay son. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It says he was in combat with his BFF, if you will. What was his name? Let me go back to Daemon's page. Jeremy Norridge, yeah. While his brothers had broken their betrothals for other women, this was not the case for Daemon. He preferred the companionship of Sir Jeremy Norridge, a young knight whom he had befriended when they were squires together at Highgarden. So it's the Maesters have this way of being like, oh, he preferred the company of young men. Wink, wink. So that's how they say it, if you will. Yeah, they were besties. Okay, so basically these all go sideways. Duncan marries Jenny of Oldstones, gives up the claim to the throne. So then Jaehaerys is the heir. Duncan, however, he was supposed to marry the daughter of Lord Baratheon, if you remember. And he was not happy about this choice. He was supposed to have a daughter that was going to become the queen. And now the king just let his son marry Jenny of Oldstones. So now the Baratheons are just shit out of luck. So they rise in rebellion. And that was when Sir Duncan of the Kingsguard forced Lord Lyonel to yield during a trial by combat. And that is the artwork that you see right down here. That's the chase stone artwork. So that's Lyonel Baratheon and Dunk. So this is big shit. Dunk goes there. It's like puts down a rebellion, essentially. It's not even... doesn't sound like a real rebellion. More like the Baratheons going, no, you're not just going to pass me over. You're going to have to come and make concessions to me and deal with me in person. So, not sure how that shook out. Oh, wait, no, it says right here. King Aegon pardoned Lyonel and betrothed his daughter, Princess Rhaelle, to Lyonel's heir, Ormond. And that, by the way, is Stannis' grandmother. So Aegon sent Rhaelle to Storm's End as Lyonel's cupbearer and companion. So there you go. Basically, Lyonel Baratheon made a stink. They went out there. They punched each other a couple of times like guys do. And then they betrothed their daughter to his son instead. Tranquil Ashes, thanks for the super chat. I'm so excited. Who do you think they could get to play Dunk? Yeah, I've got no idea. It's going to be someone we've never heard of.
I'm almost sure. So, do you think they will age up Egg? I don't see why they would. There's nothing that Egg has to do that would, like, he doesn't need sex scenes or anything. No, I don't think they would. I think a bald little kid, a bald little smart mouth kid, that's the character. So, no, I think he'll be pretty close to 9. Oh, I need to pack another. I got a squisher cobweb in my throat. Them goddamn squishers will crawl in your throat and make their little cobwebs. They do it at night while you're sleeping. That's what happens. I'll get you. Sleep too close to the shoreline. Wake up with them squisher cobwebs. It has nothing to do with exchanging oral pleasantries with the mermaid. Nothing to do with that. That's not how that happens at all. 1 second. Yeah, Egg should apparently look he should look like Aang from Avatar The Last Airbender. That's essentially what Egg should look like, only without the blank eyes and stuff. Let's see. So I got that one. Maester and his mule. Yeah, they'll be there. And Thunder. They will lay your eggs in their eggs in your larynx. That's right. That's right, Baked Potato. That's exactly how it happens. All right, so he puts down the Storm's End Rebellion. Egg dislikes incest. However, 2 of his kids, Princess Jaehaerys and his sister Princess Shera, they desired each other from a young age, it says. With Duncan marrying Jenny as a precedent, Jaehaerys and Shera secretly wed and consummated their marriage in 240 AC, leaving Aegon to deal with the anger of houses Tully and Tyrell. So that's a tough one, right? You betroth your son and daughter to 2 very important houses. Then they secretly marry each other and consummate the marriage, which means there's no undoing it. And they were young too. How old were they when they did that? 240 AC. Let's see. And she was born in 226. So they were like 14 and 16. Yeah, they ran off as teenagers, doing teenager things. And yeah, so that put Dunk in a bit of a bind, or Egg rather. Oh man, every time I friggin' reload the page, it's like 5 ads appear. All right. So then, though betrothed for 9 years to Lady Olenna, so then Prince Daeron broke his betrothal to Olenna when he was 18. And remember, he's gay. So he remains unwed, hangs out with Jeremy Norridge, and eventually perishes in battle in 251, a few years later. So basically, I'm not sure how that turns out, but this is kind of what leads Egg to Summerhall. He just has a lot of problems with these High Lords. He's trying to get them to go along with his wishes, in part by making these marriage alliances, but then his kids screw him all up. So he's not, I think consummating means kissing, doesn't it? That's right, JBs, that's right. Holding hands, that's right. Second base. Then it's consummated. Oh, you sent a PayPal, but wouldn't let you send a question. Do you think we'll see Old Nan? So you want to use the comments section of the PayPal. But regardless, yes, we will absolutely see young Nan. I think the She-Wolves of Winterfell was supposed to be the next Dunk and Egg. So the first bit of the TV show that we see that is new will be Dunk and Egg going to Winterfell. It should be. No, Harry, this is the best news, man. This is the best. This is even better than Aegon's Conquest. Because George is going to be writing this. And like I said, I really think this is how we're going to see the rest of the Dunk and Egg story is on TV with George writing the show. I mean, this is going to be the best A Song of Ice and Fire content that ever gets on TV, probably. The story is so good. So then, so Summerhall comes along 8 years later in 258. Actually, no, 259. In 258 is the Ninepenny Kings. Maelys Blackfyre, the last of the Blackfyres, leads a bunch of outlaw kings. They invade on the Stepstones. And, let's see. Because the outlaws had no great urgency, King Aegon remained intent on his reign, and on dragons in particular. Against the advice of his friends and counselors, Aegon became convinced that only with dragons could he force the lords of the Seven Kingdoms to accept his decrees that granted freedoms, rights, and protections to the small folk. And then the next year in 259, he perishes. And many of the laws and changes that Aegon made were then changed back under the reign of King Aerys II. So the Ninepenny. So when does that rebellion happen? I thought Dunk was a part of that. I guess not. It was Barristan who was Lord Commander. So it's in 260 AC, a year after Summerhall, the new king, Jaehaerys II, sends an army to the Stepstones. Maelys personally kills Lord Ormond Baratheon, who was Hand of the King, early in the war. But then Barristan Selmy, a young knight from the Stormlands, kills Maelys. And that's when he became a member of the Kingsguard. Cool. So there you go. So that's it. There's a lot of stuff. There's a third Blackfyre Rebellion. There's all that stuff in the Westerlands. There's the Great Council. There's all the stuff with young Maester Aemon. There's Winterfell with young Nan. There's the two tourneys that we get in the Hedge Knight and the Mystery Knight. If Dunk is Brienne's ancestor, will we see them go to Tarth? Oh, that's a great point, Katie. Thanks for bringing that up. Dunk is Brienne's ancestor. George has confirmed that. So yeah, we have to see that. I don't know if he needs to go to Tarth, but we need to see somehow that line get... What am I trying to say? Dunk needs to bag a lady of House Tarth. I think that's what I'm saying. And of course, Dunk, as he goes, turns into quite the ladies' man, it seems, because he leaves lots of little Dunk seeds everywhere, apparently. So, old Nan, obviously in Winterfell, Hodor's related to Dunk, and so is Brienne. So, yeah. Am I going to the Game of Thrones concert at the Hollywood Bowl? No, I was invited, but I just couldn't swing it. Don't have the money. Was thinking about it, but nah, not going to do it. So what happens at Summerhall is a huge question. I mean, that's its own topic. I do tend to think that the big question is, was Egg trying to sacrifice any humans to wake those dragons? Had he gone all the way to the point of thinking that it was for the greater good to sacrifice human beings to wake the dragons so that he could pass democratic reforms? That's kind of a stretch to me. I don't know. Because, I mean, with Stannis, he's thinking about it as like, I might have to burn Edric Storm, but it's to defeat the others, to wake dragons so that we can save the world. That you can understand, even if we're not supposed to agree with it, by the way. But the idea of sacrificing your own family members to wake dragons just to pass political reforms, I don't know. So we'll have to see Egg's journey towards this extreme action and what kind of character develops over the course of all these years. Because Egg is 59 when Summerhall happens. So that's a long road. We're hanging out with him when he's 9 and 10. And now we're he's 59 by the time Summerhall happens. So he'd be an old man. Be a veteran. Yeah, I would think that prophecy would continue to be involved. Given that, think about this. I did the whole Aegon's Prophecy video series, which everyone should watch if you haven't. It's in the playlist. But, we see on the show, we see Viserys and Rhaenyra looking at Aegon's knife and talking about the prophecy and saying, this is the real reason why the Targaryens have to hold it down. There's bigger stakes. Well, the thing is that the Targaryens have been doing that their whole time. And I was showing and highlighting all these passages where Egg was talking about, oh yeah, one day the dragons will return. My uncle King Aerys read about it in a book, and my brother Daeron has dreamed it. So the Targaryens have an ongoing process. Once the dragons are gone, they are reading prophecies, they are having dreams, they are constantly thinking about the dragons and the long night, all through their dynasty. So when Egg becomes king, yeah, he had a brother who dreamed of all this stuff, and he knows that some of Daeron's dreams came true. He knows that. So Egg is going to place a certain amount of faith in prophecy, I would guess. And I don't know if he'll have them or if it'll be other people around him having prophecies. Maybe the Ghost of High Heart will be involved once Jenny of Oldstones comes in. Because the Ghost of High Heart, she's the one that says that the prince that was promised, which is an old Valyrian prophecy, will be fulfilled in the line of Aerys and Rhaella. So I don't know, when does that prophecy happen? Are we going to see that on the show? I think we should, because Jenny brings the Ghost of High Heart to court. So yeah, we should absolutely see the Ghost of High Heart in King's Landing. When Jenny of Oldstones came to court after marrying Prince Duncan, she was accompanied by her friend, a dwarfish albino woman, who was reputed to be a woods witch. Lady Jenny claimed she was a child of the forest, although this was not true, the maesters say. She definitely is part child of the forest. After hearing the woods witch prophecy that the princes promised would come from the line of Aerys and Rhaella, their father, Prince Jaehaerys, insisted that they marry. So remember, this is Egg's son, Jaehaerys, who married his sister, Shera. They're the two that married each other in defiance of Egg. Then that prophecy comes along and says that their kids are that's the line that will give rise to the prince. So then Jaehaerys insists that his kids marry Aerys and Rhaella. Aerys and Rhaella never liked each other. And this is part of what we see with Aerys abusing and raping and clawing and physically abusing Rhaella. It's really bad. You feel really bad for Rhaella. She was essentially forced into that marriage. It was not a loving marriage. Incest aside, obviously some Targaryen marriages have love and some do not. So this was not a loving marriage, needless to say. And it was brought about by this prophecy. So once again, we can see that prophetic need crushing the Targaryens, grinding them, like grist mill. It's not fun to have to deal with the prophecy and the fate of the world. That's what George is trying to tell us. So the Woods Witch was also present at Summerhall and was believed to have died there, but of course she did not. So we will definitely get a lot of Ghost of High Heart action. No doubt we will. She'll come to court with Jenny of Oldstones, who will also get, so many good characters. Bloodraven, Maester Aemon as a young man, Jenny of Oldstones, Betha Blackwood, grown-up Dunk as Lord Commander, some Blackfyre Rebellions. Oh, man. You see why they greenlit this series, guys. It's going to be easy to manage season to season. It's not going to be the kind of, like Game of Thrones got bigger and bigger and it spiraled out of control. It was hard for them to manage at the end. This doesn't really do that. Summerhall does spiral out of control, but as a plot, it's pretty contained and linear. So it's following Dunk and Egg, 2 people. That's it. Good point, Katie. Egg was still king, so he could have stopped Aerys and Rhaella from marrying if he wanted to. The fact that he didn't indicates he may have put stock in the Ghost of High Heart's prophecy. And maybe he's thinking like, well, if the Ghost of High Heart says my grandson and granddaughter are eventually going to give birth to the prince that was promised, it must be about time for the dragons to come back, right? So Egg could have been... It's possible Egg was meaning to sacrifice himself to wake the dragons. And at that point, it wasn't about the political reforms. Maybe he was planning on waking the dragons for his grandkids to have to fight the long night battle. Maybe Egg thought he would become a dragon. King Aerys did. King Aerys, that's what Jaime told us, that Aerys thought he would become a dragon when he lit King's Landing on fire. That would kind of make sense. I'm going to give you half of the funky music. I only need about 30 seconds, but I already did Raiding Rhaegar. So I'll be right back. Enjoy my bass playing. All right, well, that was more than half, but I had to whisper some sweet nothings to Cleo. All righty. So, guys, questions. We've gone over all the major plot points and characters that we can expect to see. You can see how exciting the series is. And I'll just, again, point out that we are going to get all kinds of different settings. The very tight setting of the Sworn Sword, just 2 castles, 2 neighbors, and a fence, basically. Then we're going to get these tourneys, one of which is an all-star cast of Targaryen princes and nobles of Westeros, and the other one, which will be a Blackfyre Rebellion put down by Bloodraven himself. Got a bunch of other wars and rebellions, Great Council, lots of marriages and romances. I mean, we're running the gamut here. It's a really dynamic path that we're going to run with this show. Let's see, Zephyrs. Now, let me go back and see what you got. Super chat that I missed. There it is. Been a fan for a while now. Never able to chat because I usually listen while I'm at work. Well, thanks for coming in. Glad we got your question, homie. Thanks for the streams. Will we ever get access to your magnificent Song of Ice and Fire art collection? Yours is the best. Well, I download everything off of the internet. I don't have... There's only a couple artists that give me stuff, like in high-res form. But that's all stuff that they have publicly available. I just spend a lot of time collecting it. Every time I make a video, I spend basically a day just hunting art. Not as much now because I have so much of it built. I have thousands of artworks in my computer. But No, I mean, I just searched for it. The main thing is that I always put the actual name of the piece and the artist's name in the caption under the art when I'm displaying it. So anything that you see on my videos, just press pause and search that exact title just as you see it on the screen, and I promise you, it will come right up. I take a lot of effort to find the original artist. A lot of times this art gets posted without attribution and then reposted and reposted. It takes a long time sometimes to find the original artist, but I always do that. One, to give the artist credit, and then, two, so that you guys can go and find more of their artwork and connect with the artist. So that's what I'll say about that. I can't share my hard drive, but that's what I got the videos for, and I've always got the names in there so you can find it and track it down. And we did do that cool stream with Urtach. Yeah, we need to have him back on to do the House of the Dragon artwork stream. I'm also, guys, I think we're going to do a reread on Discord. Not a reread, a rewatch. House of the Dragon Season 1 rewatch. Was thinking about doing it through our Discord. Maybe doing an audio hangout afterwards. We can all chat during and then do a little audio hangout afterwards. So stay tuned for that announcement. I am working that out. It's just in the planning stages. But it's about time to get back into House of the Dragon. Had a little break. About ready to start my rewatch, and I just figured it'd be more fun to do it with everyone instead of, by myself. Michael with a super chat says, will we see if Dunk is knighted or not? Well, we know Dunk was never knighted by Arlen of Pennytree. It's pretty clear in Hedge Knight that he wasn't. So you can't go back and have someone knight you because that's admitting that you haven't been knighted. So I think you do take your vows again when you're made a Knight of the Kingsguard. So maybe that's, I don't know. But it's just kind of the thing about Dunk is that he exemplifies the virtues and isn't actually a knight. That's the irony of his character. Could Jenny be Bloodraven's sister and Ghost of Highheart Missy? What are you saying about Missy? Missy's obviously a different character. I don't know. Like Jenny of Oldstones is completely mysterious. We don't know if she's related to the Ghost of Highheart or not. They could just be very close friends, have some sort of connection, or they could be related. We do not know. I would suspect they're related. And it's in the Riverlands. Obviously, the gift is strong in House Blackwood, so it kind of would make sense if there was a Blackwood connection to Jenny or the Ghost, either or both, and that would make it that would make the whole intrigue with Black Betha being the queen. She'd be like, "Oh man, that's my witch cousin. Don't trust her. She's bad news. Oh man, Duncan's married her. Oh, that's not good." Something like that. That would make sense, Christy, if there was a Blackwood connection. It's in the right area. Petition for Rohanne Webber's voice to be done as Nimble Dick. No, Anu. Hey, good to see you, Anu. I read that super chat before I read who it was from, so that was a funny reveal. Now look, you can't have Nimble Dick's a man's man. He can't be talking like a lady now. That's not right. Nimble Dick definitely did not used to dress in drag when he was a teenager. That's lies and rumors. That's hearsay. Nimble Dick would never wear a dress. I can't believe you would even imply that, Anu Roar. Huh. Ought to feed you to the damn squishers. All right, that's enough of that. So, Nimble Dick obviously does lean a little conservative. I mean, that's a given. Let's see here. What are you trying to tell me, Kirsty? Oh, you want a Jenny and Missy Blackwood. Gwennis is another form of Jenny and Missy Blackwood, their mom. Okay, so there's a theory here about... Okay, so Jenny of Oldstones and Missy Blackwood are sisters. Is that the theory? This is interesting. I've not heard it. Will I have a floppy hat for Sworn Sword? I don't own a floppy hat. And I also, maybe I'll try to find one. I've only got the Nimble Dick's crocodile cowboy hat. You guys are great. Okay. How are they going to make a show out of 3 short novellas? So no, Johnny, they're not short. I don't know if you've been hanging out with us the last 3 weeks, but it just took me and Tim 3-hour plus streams to get through the Hedge Knight. Hedge Knight's about 15,000 words. The Sworn Sword and the Mystery Knight are both over 30 and 36. So there's plenty for a whole season. The Hedge Knight is definitely a whole season's worth of material. And the other books are longer. So you were talking about Bloodraven and Jenny being his sister Gwenys. Oh, you're saying Gwenys is like a fake name. Kind of like Diana Reed is actually Ashara Dane, modifying the name of her ancestor Diana Dane to Gianna. Yeah. I get it. So yeah, there's plenty of material. We just went through, like I said, Hedge Knight. And then, okay, so in Sworn Sword, there's a whole, like, he spends a little bit of time just getting to know Eustace, and then him and Brown Bennis go and have the little tiff with the one of the dam workers. Then they go back. Then Dunk has to go over to Coldmoat to confront the situation. Then he goes back, and they go through a whole thing where he talks to Eustace, figures out the truth of what's going on. Then he trains the peasants. He goes back over to Coldmoat, and then eventually they have the fight with Lucas Longinch at the end. So, yeah, you could definitely do 8 to 10 episodes for each book. No problem. Yeah, who's going to play Maynard Plum? Gotta know. Yeah, exactly. I was just saying that they're longer than you remember. You remember them as being really short. But just reading through Hedge Knight, like there's a few more twists and turns in the plot than you think. So there's definitely enough. And yeah, if you're not watching, definitely go back and check out those 3 Hedge Knight streams. Not this week, but the following Sunday, Tim and I will start in on Sworn Sword. So, and like I said, see if we can get a third guest to do the Rohanne Webber. I've got somebody in mind. I just gotta see if I can work it out. So if you guys go ahead and throw questions at me if you got any questions about anything I haven't talked about. Just the list of characters that we're gonna see. It's just nuts. Leanne Powell with a PayPal. Thank you. Appreciate that. Ooh, I've got new glass in the mail. I better go look at the mail. A little bowl piece. Yeah, the Hedge Knight streams are great, man. Me and Tim are having a good time. I was doing the egg voice. He's doing the Dunk voice. You know, I got Steely Pate. He took Arion. We're having fun. It's definitely a great stuff. Dunk is the people's champion. How long will it take for Dunk and Ed to come out? We got no idea. You know, usually takes, I got a cast and all that. So, 2 years is about the fastest from now that they could put it out. Like if they get to work on it next week, plotting it and casting it and all that stuff, then they got to film it, produce it. So probably 2 to 3 years. So how many seasons? So again, just to recap, the biggest takeaway from all of this news is that because George is officially a writer on this series, which is different from House of the Dragon. He is not a writer on House of the Dragon. He's just an executive producer and a consultant. He's actually a writer on the show, which to me says that this is how George is planning to finish Dunk and Egg, because he just doesn't have time to write 4 more Dunk and Egg books and write Winds and Dream of Spring and Fire and Blood 2. He must have realized that. And so Dunk and Egg is such a good story. It would be really crazy not to make a show out of it. I mean, it's been sitting there the whole time as the best candidate for a TV show because it is such a contained story. And we get to stick with the same characters for a long time. Watch them grow. So yeah, I really think George is probably not going to try to write those other 4 books. And we're going to get at least 7 seasons of Dunk and Egg. And that's how he's going to do it. No, I don't know for sure. I'm speculating. Definitely want to be clear. What we know for sure is that George is writing on the show. I am speculating further that means that he's probably not going to try to write those books, and probably he'll tell the story on the show, which he's comfortable doing because they're letting him write it. But I will be waiting for George to confirm that for sure. That is just my speculation. Cavs versus Warriors finals. No, but we might get LeBron and Steph in the second round, man. That looks like that could happen. I kind of think Memphis will beat the Lakers, but the Lakers are really hard to pin down. Sometimes they're great, and sometimes they're fucking really hard to figure. So we'll see. I kind of think Memphis will win that one, but you never know with them Lakers. I do think the Dubs are going to the finals, though, man. The West is weak. It's lined up for us. Weak. And we got our guys back. We got GP2. Forget about it. Can we beat one of the East teams in the finals? That's going to be tough. I like Philly. I think Philly's going to make the finals. But Philly, Boston, and Milwaukee are all tough. Harry Lloyd is Arian Brightflame. Dude. Thank you, Katie. You're kicking ass today. That would be... Oh, that's a different Katie. Well, everybody named Katie is kicking ass. Oh, it was Kirsty I was thinking of. Kirsty and Katie. Very good. Anyways, yes. Let's bring back Harry Lloyd and let him play Arion. It's like Viserys only turned up, even more entitled. Oh, that'd be awesome. Totally should do that. Dunk should be played by Bjornsson. No. We need somebody that... Dunk is innocent. It has to be an actor that can portray Dunk's innocence and naivete. It's got to be very young. Dunk's like 19. So, the Celtics, I would give the Cavs a little bit of a shot. I like them to beat the Knicks. I have liked Cleveland all year. I think people are sleeping on Cleveland. I think they could upset Milwaukee, actually. I think they got a chance. I have so little respect for Milwaukee's offense. I hate their offense. I hate teams that can't score or run creative offense. I hate them. So, yeah, I give the Cavs a shot. And they got 2 guys to throw at Giannis, too. So, I think that's got a real chance. All right. Let me throw the 10-minute warning out. I'm going to wrap this up here. Like I said, last call for questions. I've covered most of what I wanted to talk about here, so. Yeah, Cleveland's future looks great. I mean, Donovan Mitchell's awesome. Mobley's awesome. What about the Suns? Don't think they can put it together this fast. Maybe, but we'll see. We'll see. I think they'll beat the Clips. We'll see how they do against Denver. Find a very tall surfer dude. Pretty much. That's kind of what you need, is like a young surfer dude. Arion is between 16 and 19. Yeah, but that's true. But Arion's age doesn't matter that much. He could be older. Not too much older. And Harry does look kind of young. I would accept it, but you're right. It doesn't quite fit. Watch him play Baylor Breakspear. Puts on a super somber voice. Totally not like Viserys at all. Didn't Tom Hopper have that short moment as Dick and Tarly? I don't know who Tom Hopper is. Like I said, I'm bad with actors. I don't know him. So, hello from Turkey. Hey! Yep, this is intended to be a little more accessible Eastern time zone stream. That was part of the idea. Yeah, this is going to be fantastic. I mean, so what HBO is doing is they're not fucking around. They're like, yeah, 10,000 ships, sea snake. Okay, that's interesting. How about the Conquest and Dunk and Egg? So it's like, let's go with the very best stuff. And if that does well, maybe then we'll get the 10,000 ships, which I think 10,000 ships will be a huge hit. Nymeria is the character that could be a new Daenerys, like that level of stature that a new generation of people just, you know, sees as a complete icon in the way that we see Emilia Clarke's Daenerys. I think Nymeria could be that. But seems like we're going to get Aegon's Conquest and Dunk and Egg first. And that'll be pretty dope. Brains spilling out of helmet will look great on screen. Okay. You remember, Jim Carrey at Ace Ventura? The movie starts out, he's got the package and he's like banging it on everything. Got a package, people. Boom, boom, boom. He's like drop kicking it. Something like that is happening outside. Anyways, yeah, so like I said, if you have any last questions, throw them at me. Pretty much covered the basics here of what we're going to see. It's very exciting. The fact that George is working on it means it's going to be awesome. So wrap your brains around it. I don't want to hear any, George is doing this instead of that. We're going to get a kick-ass Dunk and Egg series, and it's probably going to tell the whole story. So I'm happy because honestly, like, I wasn't ever very confident that we were going to get the whole story if he's waiting to write them and putting them on a priority lower than Winds and Dream. Like, well, okay, yeah, after Dream of Spring, he's going to write 4 Dunk and Egg novels. Like, maybe he'll write one in between or something. But, like, there was just no way that was going to happen. So now at least we're going to get this story, which is such a good story. Like, we need the story. So I'm a big fan of this. I hope that turns out to be the case. Oh, got some PayPals coming in from Nefertaria, who sent me one a couple weeks ago, too. Thank you. I don't know if I thanked you. It was during the week. I don't have voice acting experience, but I almost have an English degree. I read well. Oh, we've got a volunteer. Okay. All right. I have a sister who would be perfect to sing the lyrics to Reading Rhaegar if you're still interested. I did ask for that. That's right. I said, who can do the Shaka Khan style vocals? I could always do a cheesy, croony Rhaegar singing voice. That's not very good, but yeah. Thank you, Nefertaria. Where are you? Are we connected on socials? Oh, there's a second PayPal also wanting to audition. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So guys, Instagram. Yeah. So Nefertaria, get me on Instagram or Twitter. And then Paige, I'll get you on Insta. You've given me your Insta tag here. So that's funny. That's awesome. People want in on the Sworn Sword action. It is hot. It is hot. He gets a lock of her hair, so. And maybe a little more. Let's be honest. I think there's some things that happened off the page there, perhaps. So the Conquest is the one that I'm more curious about how they're going to do it. It's pretty straightforward to do Dunk and Egg. It's a linear story. The Conquest is like a bunch of big events over the course of a year and a half, and then it kind of peters out. So I'm not sure how they're going to do that. Of course, as we discussed in our Aegon's Conquest stream, they are thinking about... no, I'm about to wrap it up, by the way. They're thinking about doing a mixed thing where there's going to be a movie and a show somehow combined. I'm not sure what order that's going to be in, but we'll just have to see. We'll probably get more news about Aegon's Conquest soon. Now that it's out and people know that they're doing it, I suspect it'll only be a matter of weeks before we start to get more news about how that's going to work. And the same for Dunk and Egg. So we could be entering a time of lots of new news about stuff, which would be cool. And of course, they just started filming House of the Dragon. So, hey, Paige. You're good. You're good, Fern Gully. I'll get a hold of you. All right, guys. Well, that'll about do it, I think. Thanks for joining me. This was a fun stream. We'll do the character Q&A a different time. Originally, I had a cool idea for the stream, which was basically like historical character Q&A. So somebody nominates a random character from history, Brandon Ice Eyes Stark, let's say, and then we pull up his little plot details and try to put ourselves in his shoes and imagine what his conflict would be. Because we had really good results with Fire and Blood doing that. Before season 1 of House of the Dragon, we read over that material in Fire and Blood. We read it real slow, and we tried to imagine for each character, what would this be like? We get these details thrown at us real fast. We don't get the personal story, so we have to stop and imagine. How would that have felt? What would it have been like for Alicent to be 14 and have her dad make her the handmaid of the old King Jaehaerys, and now she's bathing and reading to the old king? What's that about? You know, so we had to stop and ask these questions. So that's what I wanted to do with the characters. We'll take any random character and then say, okay, well, what would it have been like to even Maegor? Try to put ourselves, if, you know, I'm a psychopathic Targaryen mule. My mother conceived me with blood magic. And I just really have a thing for murdering wives. You know, what's your motivation there? That's going to be a challenge. We'll do that a different time. I do think that's a good idea for a stream. We'll do that a different time. But obviously with the breaking news, we had to call the audible. So very exciting. Dunk and Egg. Can't wait for it. But yeah, we'll come back and we'll do some character Q&A a different time. I hope some of you guys in Europe could catch this stream today. And I will be back on Sunday at the normal time at 3. I'm not sure what we will stream about on Sunday. I'm going to take 1 week off from the Dunk and Egg reading. So who knows? But tune in. Regular time, 3 p.m. Starry Wisdom Sunday. And I will see you there. So thanks for joining the stream today, guys. If as soon as this is over, I would appreciate if you can hit refresh and leave a comment. That would be awesome. It helps tell YouTube that this is a really cool video. They should show lots of other people. And other than that, y'all are beautiful and thanks for coming. So, cheers.